What do you do with DJ Durkin? I mean, I'm not trying to stoke the fire on LSU's defensive coordinator job, but I think there's going to be some open slots. LSU's going to have to make a change at some point on the defensive side of the ball. You saw it again. I feel like they played well,
But now, like,
but then it just
Yeah.
but that was the first time. Like I watched the game with my brother. That was the first time he saw it live, and he hadn't been to Tiger Stadium since last year. And he's like, "Why is nobody cheers on third down anymore for the defense?" And I was like, "We don't do that anymore."
yeah, I mean,
Like he's like, "What's the ghost town?" I was like, "We just watch the offense now." He's like, "What happened?"
people cheer when the offense is on the field, and then when the defense gets out there.
I'm telling you, man, it's
Concerning.
people see it. I was in Tuscaloosa at Bryant Denny, and a fan that, again, not obnoxious, not trying to talk trash, not saying anything that was belligerent, just came. We were kind of, Jay was in line, and I was kind of waiting on him to get his Coke and a hot dog, and I was standing kind of watching the TVs, waiting on him in line, and a guy was standing right there, and I had a piece of LSU gear on. And he was like, "Hey, man, real question." He was like, I'm not trying to. And he kind of prefaced it with that. I was like, yeah. He was like, what? How is LSU this bad defensively? And it is fair. I looked at him, I said, man, it's something that we talk about all the time. And it's not, it is difficult to explain how a school so prideful on that side of the ball and has won so many games with that being the face of the program, that they field a defense that is so bad as they are. I mean, it's still after Saturday night's game. I mean, yeah, sure, they did enough, but you have to have you got to have the nation's number one offense on the other side of the ball and the best player in college football to bail you out. I mean, the thought of not having Jaden Daniels on LSU's speaking of Mississippi State, that might be who LSU is.
You're not in hot water, Coach. You're in a sous vide. You're just getting cooked.
You're in big trouble. So, I mean, it takes that type of performance. It takes that type of player. It takes that type of execution that the offense has to cover up just how bad LSU defensively is. And I know, this is a dead horse, and I don't mean to keep beating it, but I mean, it's tough to fathom and tough to explain.
But if you are LSU and this Texas A&M firing comes at the perfect time, I don't know if you want DJ Durkin. I don't really care about that, but I'm just talking about the amount of. This could be a quick change to be able to finally get recruits on the defensive end, where you can get guys that could kind of fix all your problems a little bit. I know you went to the well once with Denver Harris. I don't know how that's going to shake out, but there's other freshmen there that were LSU targets. LSU was in on that. The NIL became popular so quickly, and it became, I think I have to go to A&M. And it was guys that wanted to come to LSU, and now you'll see if they're able to get them back in the boat, because there's no other way to fix this defensive backfield other than through the portal this year again.
Both of A&M safeties were LSU leans. One of them was an LSU commit at one point. Bryce Anderson was committed to LSU, flipped his commitment to Texas A&M right before signing day.
Does Jordan Gilbert play?
Jordan Gilbert was the starting safety.
Yeah, I know he was
before,
starting.
and then he got hurt.
Okay.
So you got three right there. That's three plug and plays.
And Jordan Matthews is
making plays
everywhere,
every weekend. He's finally getting comfortable playing college football.
And you have to. I don't know if Woodward was an incel for A&M and he had this thing planned out. I know he didn't give the extension, but the contract he gave Jimbo then to bounce pretty quickly and then just go straight to LSU.
I'll see y'all, dog.
Yeah, it's a nice chef's kiss for sure.
There's going to be people that can say the same thing that he did with Brian Kelly, but it feels. Would you rather be on that side of the spectrum or this side where you're Arkansas, Mississippi State, Texas A&M looking for a coach, or have a guy that's going to be here for 10 years?
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel pretty good.
Right. You're on the right side of it
yeah.
for now.
But
the thing about college football is
it
can
change
blink
tomorrow,
and you're on the other side of the coin. So you can't really point and laugh too much, because
no point in laughing from this end.
You can be in the situation pretty quick
tomorrow.
If you're everybody that's outside of Athens and Tuscaloosa, it feels like.
Bill Belichick to college football.
Yeah. No thanks. But we'll talk to Billy Lucci here in 10 minutes. One thing that you got to be cognizant of in recruiting with coaching is, you talk about a guy like Dave Aranda. When you talk about recruiting is kind of a pronged spectrum, right? And the two most prominent of the things that you must utilize is you have to win in the living room and you have to win on the field in development. If you can pitch development in the living room with good personality and good messaging and the ability to connect with people, then you're a dominant recruiter. Frank Wilson, right? I mean, let's just take the easy example. Frank Wilson is a guy that can win in the living room, and he can also show you on the field that he's developing, right? He's the running backs coach. He's put guys in the league. When they come to LSU, they're better when they leave than when they got there. They're graduating. They're better people. They're better football players. All the development that people that making these decisions are looking to point out and be proven to them is what a dominant Joe Sloan. Joe Sloan's a dominant guy that you can put in the living room, and you can also show his value on the field of what he's developing and how they're developing them. But if you're not that guy, and they exist, right? Like, I mean, where you're a really good on the field developer, but you're not that good in the living room. Dave Aranda, for instance. But Dave Aranda is a guy that you can recruit to, right? Like, you can send Frank Wilson into a top defensive prospect's living room and do all the eating, the laughing, the joke telling, the
technique in the living room,
the creating of relationships, the strengthening of relationships, all that goes into that. The things that Aranda doesn't really like to do. But Frank Wilson can tell the parent, the aunt, the uncle, the high school coach, the player, wait till I get you to campus and Coach Aranda shows you what he's going to do with you, what he's going to develop you into, how the defense is going to use you. And once you get that player back on campus and they've got the skins on the wall that they can reference of players that have either come through or that they've coached at other stops, that they've developed into better players than when they got there. Or you've got somebody on the current team that you can show is developing, is improving, is an All-American, is trending towards a first-round pick, whatever it may be. And then put them on a whiteboard, put them on a chalkboard, put them in the film room with the coach, and let them just go football 101 of how they're going to use you, how they're going to play you, how they're going to develop you. And then they recruit in the room, right? Like, they're recruiting face-to-face. They're recruiting right directly with one another. But they don't want to travel. They don't want to do the high school coaches. They don't want to go to the games on Friday night. They don't want to go sit in the living room. And look, I mean, every coach at some point is going to have to do that, but some coaches get to a point where you don't have to.
Well, that's the risk you run, right? Because you just had that, and I don't think Matt House, I mean, it's up for debate, but I don't know if Matt House loves recruiting either. So I don't know if you kind of retread that.
Yes, but what can I recruit to with Matt House? If I'm telling the defensive player, like, hey, come in, let me show you what House is going to do with you. You play a lot like who? That they're going to show.
Tyrann Mathieu was the one. I mean, that's what everybody was saying. Like, he gave his vote of approval, and everybody's like, okay, Tyrann likes him because but he feels like an NFL guy,
right?
And that's what I'm saying. It feels like if LSU wants to run this thing back.
He was a linebackers coach with the Kansas City Chiefs.
I understand that.
He wasn't the DB's coach. So if you need somebody to come out and give him some type of testimonial, then you need the top linebacker with the Kansas City Chiefs to come out and say, Matt House is my guy. Josh Allen, who played under House at Kentucky, now with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
On fire.
big-time defensive player in the league. A testimonial from Allen on House would go a long way, right? I mean, that was something that you can use in recruiting. Frank Wilson can go in the locker. Hey, you watch NFL football? Hell yeah. You know Josh Allen, Jacksonville Jaguars? Yeah. Listen what he had to say about Matt House. Listen what Matt House meant to his career. Now come back to Baton Rouge. Let me get you down to the facility. We'll get in the film room, and House is going to sit with you and show you how he can use you just like he used Josh Allen.
And I think it's a different conversation with if it's Dave Aranda, which I would love to see because he could be, I've already been here. Look at what I've done in college. Look what I did with recruits that it doesn't have to be a professional testimonial. It's, hey, when you get to LSU, look what I got these, look what I did with a 2019 offense, what feels like the 2023 offense. And he was able to adjust mid-year and make that defense viable. LSU was not used to moving that quickly and getting quick changes and having to play defense like that when you're scoring under a minute and you have no. I mean, what's the famous story from him at Texas where he's trying to get the defense ready on the whiteboard and LSU scores and they're like, we got to go back. And he's like, I didn't have any time to make adjustments. Dave Aranda adjusted. That would be my vouch for him is that even if you don't get good players or he's not a great recruiter, quote unquote, he's got great scheme. He's got great defense.
Right.
That's his.
He's a defensive coordinator.
He is as good as it gets on that side of the football.
Right? He's looking for players, but he's looking for styles, and he can usually create and find styles of players that he has access to. And, I just think that you obviously would love to have both. And I think that you look for you look for guys like Frank Wilson, Joe Sloan, Cortez Hankton, guys that have proven
Mason Taylor.
They can recruit. And then you get them onto campus, and they develop the players, right? I mean, if you're a wide receiver right now, how are you telling Cortez Hankton no? I mean, really, if you're a quarterback, how are you telling Joe Sloan no?
Michigan don't even have a coach.
If I'm a receiver or a quarterback, the only other school I'm listening to, wide receiver, I'd listen to Ohio State. But anywhere else, I'm looking at LSU, and I'm like, I want to go play in that.
It's crazy.
And Georgia and Alabama and Michigan are telling other players, why would you go to LSU and play defense in that?
Right.
Exactly.
That's what they're saying to high school prospects. And you have to, and they're also telling him they're not getting developed. They're not getting coached up. So what are you going to do?
I mean, look at Wardell Mack.
Mack.
He flipped his commitment from Florida to Texas and didn't say a word.
Didn't mention LSU.
Thanks for tuning in to our premium LSU content right here on YouTube. If you want more of it, subscribe below.